Hello. To whom do I have the honor of speaking?
Desade. I'm the legate of the merchant congregation. Governor Burren told me to pay you a visit.
Oh. It is you who arrested Dr. Asili and must help me prepare the trial.
Exactly.
Excellent. We will have lots to do if we want the doctor to pay for his crimes. The accused has a lot of support. Any evidence and testimonies you can gather will be useful.
We'll have no problem gathering witnesses. His laboratory cells were full of them.
We will call them to the witness box, of course. But be aware that if the victims are natives, their words will unfortunately not carry much weight here.
There were also some Nauts. Perhaps I can also convince some of the doctor's colleagues to talk.
Their testimony will be crucial. The word of other scholars is likely to be the only thing that condemns him. That plus any material evidence you can gather.
These documents describe Dr. Asili's work, as well as the horrible experiments he was performing.
Perfect. I will read them in detail. We will no doubt find something to support my prosecution.
Do we have any chance of winning?
What you have brought me is a good start, Your Excellency, but it would be better to continue gathering evidence.
I will return to you soon. The Nauts should be at the port, and the islanders had to take refuge in Vigshardir. As for the scientists, they said they would go back to the governor's laboratory. And I should also go back to Asili's laboratory. There may be more evidence there.
Desade, I'm happy to see you. You seem worried, but I'm curious to learn more about the secrets the congregation hides. Also about the mysterious DeVesp family. They must know something about alchemy to have discovered the famous poison that bears their name. Anything else?
I would like you to tell me about Asili.
I was expecting you to come and see me about this. What would you like to know?
Were you aware of Dr. Asili's experiments?
In part, yes. That's why I chose not to be his student any longer.
Why not say anything?
Because I never thought he would go so far. Over time, he became more and more cruel. I found his approach brutal. As if by meeting the natives it deprived him of all humanity. He spoke of them as test subjects, never as people. But there was a time when he was the greatest doctor and scientist in the Alliance. And I clung on to that memory.
You do know that you were captured thanks to him?
Yes, but I thought the natives wanted to trade us merely as prisoners of war. I was blind. And stupid. I regret it terribly.
Do you think, as your master does, that science justifies all sacrifices?
No. I may have believed that at one time, without of course ever imagining that we'd resort to such cruel treatment. But Dunkus, you and Siora have opened my eyes to the limits of science. To worship it as we do in the Alliance does not make us better than Teleme.
In your opinion, were the horrors practiced in this laboratory necessary for his research?
No, even if he was convinced of it. General interest outweighs the suffering of a few individuals. He wanted results quickly, to the point of neglecting slower, more humane methods. I hope we'll succeed in ensuring these experiments never happen again.
Would you be willing to testify against Dr. Asili during his trial?
Of course. I was going to talk to you about that. I want to convince my colleagues that we must give up these kind of methods. And even if it costs me dearly. I want my master to pay for what he did. Anything else?
I'm under the impression that you've not learned as many things as you wanted by observing Dorcas's clan.
That's true. I hope to discover the physical or alchemical mechanism behind their metamorphoses. But instead, I don't know. I think I now understand the bond that unites their people to this land, the links that connects them, and the power of their culture. It's unexpected. I wonder if this couldn't become another subject for study. The study of people, their customs and beliefs. If I said that in Al-Sad, people would think I've gone mad, but here, everything is possible, right? Learning about the natives would allow us to stop being afraid of them, and to see them like fellow humans at last.
I must leave you.
Didn't I tell you that knowing the underside of politics and dealing with manipulation would serve you well? I never thought we'd have to deal with the Devesps here. They're a long way from Peren. Be very careful, my child.
I will see you later.
Take care, my...
Hello. I see that you are back to work.
Indeed. We were not bothered thanks to you. And here I can make myself useful. But I don't think you're here to ask about me. What can I do for you?
What is your purpose here?
I help Dr. Unur to understand the research of my former master. He's the one who became his successor.
I do hope that he doesn't use the same methods.
Of course not.
What about your other colleagues? What's become of them?
They felt guilty. They stopped their experiments and returned to Al-Sad.
What do the other scholars think of Dr. Asili, now that his actions have been revealed for all to see?
Most still admire him greatly. He was the greatest amongst us, you know? They didn't witness what was happening in the lab, and they have little interest in the natives. For them, The main problem is political, given that the war against the rebels cost us dearly. Until they understand the horrors that happened there, they will not have any moral issues.
Are you prepared to testify against Dr. Asili?
Yes. I kept silent for far too long about what was going on in that lab. I know what we did was wrong, and I do not want it to happen again.
Thank you. Your story could change the outcome of this trial. I must leave you. What she saw working alongside Asili obviously upset her. She will make an excellent witness.
Dr. Honor, what do you want?
What is your role and what is your research topic?
I'm in charge of the governor's laboratories. My main research concerns the Malicor, of course. Above all, we searched for a way to reduce the suffering of the sick.
What were you looking for?
Now that we have access to my colleague Asili's work, it gives us hope of finding a cure.
So the crimes he committed while conducting his work do not concern you?
He will be judged for that. But it would be a shame for him to have done all this for nothing.
What do you think of Dr. Asili now that you've learned how he conducted his research?
Well, obviously the few excesses he has conceded himself are unfortunate, but he remains the greatest scientist that the Alliance has ever known. His work has had a profound effect on science. It seems quite unfair to me to reduce his life's work just to what he has done lately.
If I understand correctly, you will be one of his defenders.
Naturally. I don't deny that he made a terrible mistake, but he meant well. And he was probably acting on behalf of our helplessness to combat the Malicor.
Would you agree to speak at the trial? Your influence could be crucial.
Oh, but I already intended to give a statement. His lawyer came to find me.
So you were ready to defend a man who used torture and murder to advance his research?
Indeed. Because I think the entire work of a scientist should not be judged on a single mistake. It is obvious that he should not have used such methods, but Asili has never been very political. I doubt he understood the implications of his actions.
So you're saying the only problem in this case is political?
Essentially, yes. The war he nearly caused could have been expensive for our governor and the city, but let's not fool ourselves. No tears will be shed over the fate of a few of those bloodthirsty savages.
I took a look at a few pages of your research. I was very impressed.
Really? You're very kind. But these are the leads we had to abandon.
Due to the pressure from Dr. Asili, if I've understood correctly.
Indeed. According to him, focusing on the reasons behind the contamination was a waste of time. All that mattered was the cure.
And yet you want to defend him. How many promising leads did you give up to please him? Why continue to serve him when you could finally gain your independence?
You are not wrong. Very well, you've convinced me. I will now testify for the prosecution. It is true that it's time to turn the page and leave his cruel methods behind.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Honor is an influential scholar. His testimony would convince the judges.